So I would always recommend Memology 101. The individual does some great vids, this being but one of many examples. So New York City Mayor Zoran Mandani announces preliminary citywide racial equality plan to tackle affordability crisis in the city. I mean, it's textbook bloody racist. And you're seeing the same shit in the UK. What you're seeing in America is absolutely going to be implemented in the UK. And they're going after anybody who's got a decent sized house, whatever else, blah, blah, blah. They'll pay through it with it through property tax, all the rest of it. De-incentivize the motivated to even be in an area. Seriously. It is vastly destructive and part and parcel of destroying the West. This is a disgrace. Under fair use, stopping occasionally for comment, let me play you this.
Today's announcement has two parts. The preliminary citywide racial equity plan and the inaugural New York City...
I mean, you think about this. DEI. There is not one white individual there. Of course, there are a whole bunch of head bobbers. The subliminal is, no, this guy's talking sense.
True cost of living measure. Together, these reports establish a framework for how our city will both measure affordability and plan for the future. The true cost of living measure confirms what New Yorkers have long known to be true. Too many people cannot afford the city that they love. New York City is home to skyscrapers.
This? New York City is home to skyscrapers.
$1 million listings, $9 lattes. And yet more than 3 in 5 New Yorkers, 62%, cannot keep up with the cost of living in this city.
They're not going after the billionaires to keep... Oh, look, it's the billion... No. They're going after white people. That's basically it. That's what they're going after. You know, this is what the socialists and the communists don't get. Oh, well, some socialists and communists, because they're a callous. But the naive that get involved in it, that don't know the bigger picture, wow, you know, useful idiots. This is racist.
Despite the incredible wealth of our city, our poverty rate is double that of the national average. And it is getting worse year over year. And while today's true cost of living measure...
And remember, while they're rolling out free bus travel, all the rest, oh wait, isn't that the SNP? You know, seriously, isn't that the SNP resisting the lies? I'll leave you a link to his channel, obviously, because honestly, even in the last couple of weeks, for the love of God, seriously, it's outrageous what they're saying there, and he's uploaded these fine vids. Because what you're seeing rolling out in Scotland is not that different. Seriously.
Confirms that the affordability crisis touches every corner of our city. We know that these effects are not applied evenly. So often, it is black and brown New Yorkers who are hit the hardest.
Seriously, think about this. I mean, look. There is no argument the history of a successful Western society has been based on, by and large, well, white, intelligent people. That's basically it. That's history, yeah? We're all about the destruction of that, yeah? It ties in so many things, not least of which is, you know, Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, C.S. Lewis's The Hideous Strength, and so many other, well, you know, hints.
Sorry, can you tell me how? This preliminary racial equity plan is the first step in developing a whole of government approach to tackling that reality. It is a plan that lays out these first steps to solve decades of neglect and discrimination, and it places the work of 45 city agents.
As DG has pointed out regularly in the past, that white children are more prone to depression, young white males, to suicide, all the rest of it, because they feel they absolutely have no future. Now imagine you're a young white guy in New York. You're struggling like so many other people with this insanity that they are rolling out. And you're being told, hey, fucking forget any positive news. We're just going to tax you more because you're white. And, you're going to be in the back of the queue.
Within a singular framework.
It's total freedom.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Every time communism has been implemented historically, tens upon tens of millions of people have died. This ties into eugenics and the occult. There's no mistake about the pentagram when it comes to communism.
This plan was born during a defining moment in our city's history, when New Yorkers were in the streets in the midst of a global pandemic, calling for justice, demanding accountability, and bearing witness to brutality unfolding on our streets
The nodding
and
head.
on our screens. In that moment, our city was...
I believe! You know, it's funny. So many people are against, things like Christianity. Look, I was brought up in a Christian nation. I'd visit churches occasionally. Didn't have the greatest experience in the 80s when my mother, who adopted me, turned into a born-again Christian. I believe. Speaking in tongues, all the rest of it. All I ever embraced was if people spent as much time giving a shit about each other for the best of reasons as opposed to their own fucking salvation, I think the world would be a better place. But this, when you look at the bigger picture, these fuckers are Satanists, Luciferians, all the rest of it. Christianity, by and large, is the last thing you should be worried about. Seriously. Tell me about all these Christian horrible scenarios when it comes to, happening to mass events in relation to the public. None. But you can think of others.
Asked to reckon with the deep systemic inequities that have long shaped life here and to do better.
Deep systemic inequities. That is definitely been rolled out in everything to do with Scottish public services, councils, everything else. Certainly education system, because we're all racist. Think about this. Remember, this is about the destruction of the intellect, the West, Western civilization, why it was so successful for thousands of years, and by and large, up until 30... Okay, let's be generous. 20 years ago, you were very confident about walking from A to B without a care in the world. But by the decade, and now by the year, that's no longer the case. But we're not being told anything other than we're essentially the problem.
You've got to do better, Senator.
New Yorkers across all 5 boroughs answered that call. Their voices, their advocacy, and their persistence are what brought us to this moment. The release of the preliminary citywide racial equity plan is a...
Racial equity plan. It will be rolled out in Scotland because this is United Nations policy. This is about getting to world government. This is about any destruction completely of anything to do with common sense. And everybody is a victim. Except white people. Seriously. Honestly.
Reflection of that collective mandate. It is not just a document, it is a commitment to confront institutional and systemic racism within our city.
Remember, I'll repeat, this is being taught to our children in Scotland and other nations.
And to begin the work of dismantling it.
Dismantling Western nations. Anyway, if you give a flying fuck, give me a thumb up or two, a share. I do deserve more subs, like.